Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is fantastic to be broadcasting to each and every one of you today. I hope you're all doing really well in these crazy times that we are living in. I know that with the start of school, or the restarting of school, there's going to be some anxiety, there's going to be some transition, there's going to be just a lot of what's it going to be like. And the reality is that we're going to just keep working through this. So as you can see, I'm going to also be fumbling my way through distance learning. Welcome to my backyard, by the way. It's a beautiful day here in the valley. Um, and we're going to do this together. So I thought I'd start with this first video just to A, say hi, and B, kind of go through what our plan is moving forward so that you guys feel like you understand where we're going, you understand what the expectations are. I want to remove as many questions as possible, but knowing full well that there are going to be questions that come up as we go. So what I am about to push out to all of you guys is kind of the document that we're going to be using as our guide throughout the entire process of distance learning. Now, I've set up this document to essentially go through the next 6 weeks. That is so far kind of the extent of what we are possibly going to be doing from home. Obviously, if it goes further, then we'll continue with the system that we've created. But I just wanted to go through the document with you, try to explain both my rationale, a little bit of my process, and hopefully help you feel a little bit at ease in this just time of general uncertainty. So let's just dive right in here, and I'll go through it. So this is going to be a document I'm going to send to you guys in just a little bit, and it's going to go through everything that I expect kind of each week, and then it's also going to go through specifically what assignments and things that you should be focusing on throughout the week. I want you to know I kept the system essentially the same so that you guys, the same that we were doing before we went on break, so that you guys would feel a little bit more comfortable. So again, you're going to have weekly readings over the weekend. You're going to have notes that are going to be due typically on Tuesday. This first week they're due on Wednesday because that's when school officially starts. But typically be due on Tuesday, and you're going to have an exam on Friday. And there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to have you do in between to try and help you both prepare for that exam on Friday, but also to practice some skills that are probably going to be needed on the AP exam. So let's just go through the schedule and in general what we see kind of going through here. You can see here, and I'm going to use my mouse as kind of a pointer. This first part here is just our schedule. Again, I have here scheduled essentially until the end of school, knowing full well that in 5 weeks is potentially the AP exam, the first date that you'll be able to choose to take the AP exam. You're essentially going to be getting to where you need to be in those first 5 weeks. And then we're going to start going through some skills, keep practicing our CCOTs. We're going to be looking at document-based questions. And I also want you to know, depending on what the College Board says on Friday, this may change, but this is what we're going with so far with the information that we have. So these are essentially the chapters that are going to be due each week. You can see that it's pretty much just one chapter a week, except for, of course, this first week that we have been gone for so long, and then the last week as we kind of go through the end chapters. The stuff that's highlighted in green here, that's what's going to be covered on the AP exam. Now, I said in my post earlier, or I think it was yesterday, or actually, what day is it? Sunday? Okay, it was Friday. My post from Friday evening said that the AP exam largely covers roughly chapters 8 through 20. And that's going to be getting us through essentially the post-classical, early modern, and then modern era. The exam is going to stop at 1900 or 1914, kind of to be more specific, but that's when the AP exam is going to stop. That's what you're going to be tested on. And so we're going to be going through that content. We're going to be going through the skills again. The AP exam is most likely going to be either a single essay or an essay and some short answer questions. So that's what we're mostly going to be doing. We're going to follow a weekly schedule. Our class is scheduled according to the district schedule. Our class is scheduled to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:15 to 11:30. I'm sorry, I messed up the time on my post. Should have said 9:15, not 9:10. But 9:15 to 11:30 a.m. We're not going to meet as a whole class. Because I just think it's going to be a better use of our time if I meet with small groups. That's going to allow you to ask more questions. It's going to allow for a little bit more personalization. It's going to allow for things to, I think, be better for you in general. And I think that's a nice way of just starting out as we're all getting used to this process. So on Monday, that's going to be a work day for you. So as far as this class goes, you're going to have some assignments each week that you can be working on. You can be working on your notes. You can be working on reading. You can be working on IDs. There are things that you can be working on Monday. On Tuesday, your chapter notes are due. And then your small group might have your teacher check in on that day. You might also be checking in with me on Thursday. I'm going to divide the class into probably groups of 4, and then those groups of 4 are either going to meet with me on Tuesday or Thursday. And we possibly could have, if I do it that way, that possibly means that each group of 4 might be able to spend about 20 or so minutes with me. So to me, I think that that's going to be a nice way of getting some one-on-one time and a way for me to check in on how you're doing in general, check in on how you're doing with the reading, with the content, kind of introduce what we're going to be looking at that week, and then answer any questions that you have for either the previous week or the week coming up. Wednesday is another work day. Thursday, again, you might be in one of those groups that's meeting with me. And then Friday, we're going to do a summative exam. Now, I know there are a few of you had questions on how the exams were going to go, so I want to just take a little bit to discuss what we're going to be, how that's going to go. Essentially, the Friday exam is going to be completed during that quote-unquote flex time that the district sent out. So it's going to most likely be Friday afternoon. The exam is going to be on Neo, and I have not figured out exactly how it's going to happen. My thought is that it's going to be a Turnitin.com assignment, and on that assignment, once you get into that assignment, my hope is that I can set a time limit. And I'm going to give you about an hour or so to complete the exam. In fact, it'll probably be a little bit more than that, probably about an hour and 15 minutes. You'll have an hour and 15 minutes to do 2 short answer questions, 2 to 3 identifications, and then 1 long essay question. And so that'll be through Neo. We're not going to meet as a class on Zoom or anything. I'm not going to zoom in and watch you take it. I'm not going to do any of that. It's going to be an online thing. You're not going to know which essay prompt I'm going to give you or which short answer questions I'm going to give you or which IDs, but you are going to know what those options are going forward. So that's how the Friday exams are going to be done. Again, the whole goal of doing these exams is to help you practice those skills that you're going to be using on the AP exam. Like I said, the exam is most likely going to be either a couple of short answers in an essay or perhaps just a long essay question. We're not exactly sure yet. We're going to learn more about what the College Board says. So that's how we're going to do it going forward. A point on those Friday exams. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that when you're not sitting in a classroom with a teacher watching you, there's a lot of freedom that you have. And I expect that all of you are going to be pre-writing essays, and you're going to be practicing and using those skills beforehand, so that when you get there, you're going to be pretty set up. I ask this. I ask and I expect integrity while you're doing those exams. What I don't want you doing is simply copying and pasting something you've already written. I want you to practice writing essay questions and answering an essay question in a time limit. Again, the AP exam is going to be a question you've never seen, and it's going to be a 45-minute exam, which means you might only have 45 minutes to brainstorm and write an essay. So by me giving you all of this stuff to do in an hour and 15 or so, that's forcing you to learn how to write an essay in a certain amount of time. So, when you do your essay, the expectation is that you are doing it with integrity, knowing full well that distance learning is a different thing. So we're working through it together. So that should explain the Friday summative exam. Here's kind of what you need to do each week. Again, similar to what our system was before, I wanted to essentially try and modify our old schedule so it was something that you were used to, so there wasn't too much change, so that you would feel more comfortable getting back into the swing of things. So as we go each week, here's what you want to do. You want to read and take notes on each chapter. Those guiding questions that I have written for you are there to just help you unpack the complicated things that are in each chapter. Because you're not going to be with me in class every single day, I'm not going to be going through everything as much as I could if we were in a class. I wrote out those guiding questions so that you can kind of see those big trends and themes that you're starting to see. You don't have to answer it, they're for your reflection. However, I would use those questions, especially since I wrote them in order of what's going on in the chapter for the most part. There might be a few that are out of order. But I wrote them in order so that you could then use that as you're reading to say, okay, have I understood what I've read so far? Do I need to go back and reread it so that I understand what Mr. Oftedal wants me to get out of it? So again, I'm not collecting those answers, but they're there for you to reflect on and to better unpack the chapter. There are going to be supplemental assignments each week, and I'll go through week 1 as kind of our example. There's going to be supplemental assignments. I'm going to make those due on Neo at specific times. For this first week, I think I'm just going to make them all due on Friday so that you have a little bit of time to get through those. Again, those supplemental assignments are there for you to kind of unpack a little bit of the content that I think is pretty important, but also B, to practice some of those essay skills so that we can continue to develop and get better and then prepare for not just Friday's exam, but for the AP exam as well. So those supplemental assignments. For each supplemental assignment, there'll be links on this document that I'm going to be sending out. I will be doing little screencast videos like this to give you both context and giving you both sort of directions and instructions on how to complete it. And then you are free to then just complete it on your own time when you're able to do so. And again, I haven't worked out exactly when I'm going to make those due each week, but for this first week, as we're getting used to it, I'll make them due on Friday. Another thing that you have to do each week is I want you to prepare all the IDs. Again, I'm going to be testing you on these IDs, and the reason why I'm having you do IDs again is because these are important terms and people that'll be useful pieces of evidence moving forward. The more you make these sorts of flashcards, the more evidence and ideas that you will know come for the AP exam that you might be able to use on that essay. And then obviously, as I'm sure most of you are probably already thinking about doing, you're to prepare all the short answer questions and long essay questions for Friday. I know we haven't done a lot of short answer questions and we haven't done them in a formal setting. I will be doing a whole nother screencast video on how to do short answer questions, and that can be something that we go over during our Tuesday and Thursday meetings as well. So, excuse me, I'm drinking a little bit of my coffee here. There we go. So to prepare all those short answer questions and long answer questions for Friday. So that's going to be the same system we are going to use each week. Again, I want our system to be consistent because a lot of other things are feeling very inconsistent right now. So I wanted to give you guys something that you were comfortable with, something that was consistent each week, that isn't going to change, and something that you can navigate independently and figure out when is the best time for me to get stuff done on my own. So that was the goal of doing this whole thing in general. So let's just scroll down here. You can see I've essentially gone through each week and given you guiding questions on each of the chapters. I've given you additional resources from both Crash Course and Khan Academy. I'm going to link through all of the supplemental assignments, so you can see here the Oftedal video analyzing a visual source. Well, I haven't made that yet, so there's no link, but that link will be coming. And then, of course, you see the links to the assignments here. When you click on these links and you go to this, it's going to ask you to make a copy of the assignment. I ask that you make a copy of the assignment, and to the title of the assignment, please just add your name. So if I were to do this, I would have to change the title to Oftedal CNC Impacts of Trade in Africa and Japan. So we're going to be looking at that as we go forward. And then for your Friday preparation, I've given you all of the possibilities for essays. I've kept it to 2 each week because I'm kind, merciful, and gracious, like the single, all-powerful, divinely ordained ruler that I am. And then I gave you 3 short answer question possibilities. Each short answer question, as you can see, comes with 3 different sets. That's how the College Board does it. And we'll go through more how to do those each week as well. But you see I have all of these things that are set up for you. And if you scroll down in this document, you see I have it all the way through. I think I stopped at week 6. So essentially, what that means to me is that you have everything you need. So there you go. Week 7, I said, I'll complete if it's necessary. So you have all of the things that you need in order to kind of go through. And there's no surprises. You know that while I sometimes like to surprise you with certain things, typically anytime I surprise you, I also add an additional support. So for you have our entire schedule laid out for the next month. So you know, like, okay, here's what I'm going to need to do. Here are the things that I'm going to need to do. And as we go through, you're then going to get more used to seeing how long do these things take, how much time should I be spending. And I also want you to know if we get to a point where we need to make a modification to the schedule, then we will, and that's what we will do together, as a team, as a family, as we've been going through. So let's just go through week 1. Okay, the guiding questions, like I said, these are not questions you have to answer, but these are questions that will help you unpack the major ideas of both chapters 15 and 16. If you understand these questions, then you've understood essentially what you need to know from these chapters. And again, these are big questions, so if you were to actually try to answer them, they would be fairly lengthy answers. These additional resources, I want to take a second to do this. What I have done is I've essentially taken the 2 video resources that I know of and 2 actually really trust. Crash Course World History by John Green, and then Khan Academy, which has partnered with the College Board in order to provide free study resources for students studying for the AP exams. And I essentially looked on both of those websites, and I found all of the relevant videos for each of the chapters that you've been reading. You do not have to watch all of these videos. However, I think it would be good for you to watch at least some of them, especially there are going to be a few where I'm going to write next to them, please watch this. Especially for things that I don't think Strayer covers as in depth. Those videos will also serve as a way for you to gain access to more content. Again, I actually find these videos really fun. I've been watching these videos in between my daughter's naps, and so because I don't want to disrupt her while she's awake and playing. History is for me, not for her, I guess, yet. But these videos are great resources, so I encourage you to use them. In fact, I'm going to make a slight modification. Because we haven't really covered the Russians, I am going to ask that you please watch the Russian video. John Green does a great job and a fun job going through the development of the Russian Empire. So again, those videos are not mandatory, but those videos are there as an extra resource for you. And I would encourage you to have your chapter notes out, and as you're watching these videos, add some details that you got from the video that John Green or the Khan Academy gave you, because it's going to help you. A couple of points just about these videos in particular. These videos are essentially for the entire early modern era. I wanted to give you both things on empires and trade. So, like I said, these are Khan Academy empires. These are for review. Same thing here. These are also for review. These are things that we covered in chapters 13 and 14, but would be good for you to go over and are great study resources as you start preparing for the AP exam, because this content is a possible one for the AP exam to cover. So again, just to reiterate, they are not mandatory for you to watch, but they are here as a resource for you. Our supplemental assignments our supplemental assignments are geared towards giving you access to content, helping you both unpack and what you've already read in Strayer, and then occasionally actually giving you access to other things that Strayer doesn't pay enough attention to, especially according to the new College Board requirements for the exam, and so. It's also going to be a way for us to practice doing the skills necessary to do essay writing. And so these are going to be a couple of assignments for this week. Most of the weeks you're going to see are going to have 3 supplemental assignments, I believe. Let me see. Oh, nope, just 2. Wow, you guys, I'm so nice to you. AP Euro students have to do 3 of them. So I'm going to have a couple of assignments for you to do. My idea is that you are doing these assignments either on Tuesdays and Thursdays or on Mondays and Wednesdays when we have our work days. That's kind of my idea of doing these supplemental assignments. As Sharia already pointed out to me, these assignments will most of the time at least go towards, or at least help you unpack one of the essay possibilities, and then usually, and not always, but usually, if it doesn't attack one of the LEQ possibilities, it's going over the short answer questions. So it's certainly looking at that. So for example, the comparing impacts of trade, Africa and Japan, you can see that actually is going through this first short answer question. So if you do this assignment, it will help you answer these questions really well. If you do the when you do the CCOT on European science, well, check it out. That's going to be this prompt here on the LEQ. So again, they're designed to help you prepare for Friday. That doesn't mean that all of the essay or short answer questions are going to be done under these supplemental. These are going to be also something that I want you to practice thinking about on your own. And the ones that are not done on the supplemental assignments, of course, well, actually any of the things for the LEQ and the SAQs are things that you can be asking me during our Tuesday and Thursday meetings. And then, of course, you can always also email me questions that you have as well. If I find that my email is getting way too flooded, then maybe we'll figure out another way to do it. If we can maybe somehow use our flex time on Friday before the exam for a review session or something like that, we'll figure out what we can do, when the problems arise. And then I think the Friday preparation is going to be pretty self-explanatory. The only thing that this is going to change is when we start doing document-based questions. So let me take a moment to just scroll down to when we start doing DBQs. And here we go. So when we get to week 5, which is possibly when we're going to be back or possibly not, or when we start needing to do DBQs, if the College Board decides that they're going to give a document-based question instead of a long essay question, we'll start doing DBQs much sooner. But for now, if we look at LEQ possibilities, this is going to be DBQ time. You're not going to know the documents or the question going ahead of time. That's going to be something I want you to practice doing just without any sort of preparation. However, I am giving you topics to focus on when we get there. So there will be things where I'll say, okay, if you pay special attention to this, you will feel much better for the DBQ on Friday. So that's just a little bit of a heads up as we go through there. So this is our system, and this is the system that we are, again, going to be keeping with each week. I wanted to keep it consistent for you guys. It's something that you already know. It's something you've already done. It's something you're relatively comfortable with. The notes on Tuesday, the exam on Friday, the supplemental assignments are things we would have done in class. So these are things that essentially are things that you have already done. I want to say before I go that for any reason, if you are having trouble, if you are struggling with doing distance learning, if you don't have the resources that you need, you don't have access to internet, you are caring for somebody who is sick, or something happens with your family, something comes up, please tell me, okay? I hope that you got that sense of when we were in class that yes, I have very high expectations. Yes, I like to push students. Yes, I love to challenge students. But I also understand that life happens, and we're in a time period where Everybody needs support in some way. So if there's a way that I can support you through this, if there is modifications we need to talk about for you specifically so that you don't feel overwhelmed and don't feel like you're getting left behind, those are things I want you to talk to me about. I'm more than happy to, when I can, schedule a Zoom meeting with you personally so that we can discuss anything that's going on. So please feel free to reach out to me over email. You can message me over Neo. You can email me at toftedal@sbunified.org. You can email me at toftedal@smhapple.com. There's definitely ways that you can reach out to me, and please, I encourage you to do so. Well, I'm really excited. I'm excited to get going. I'm excited to start this whole process. I've definitely got some nerves about how it's going to go, but I am very excited to see where this is going to take us. Thanks for listening, and again, you guys are the best. I'm really excited. You're going to do great. We're going to do great, and we're going to get through this together. Until next time, Mr. O out.